Joe Demore. We're hiking through the woods here in Town Forest. Actually, we're on the Nichols Village Trail. And we picked up that trail behind the Nichols Village building. You can park your cars there. And then there's a little trailhead at the end of the parking lot. And you got this great, well-marked trail that'll bring you into the forests in this area. And there's quite a bit of story here about the forests. Right now, we're actually heading towards 113, towards the Break Hill summit part of the forest. But up the trail here a little bit, we're going to be taking a right and heading back east towards Groveland Town Forest. So welcome to the first episode of Groveland Chronicles. All right, so we just came from this direction here, Nichols Village trail, and we're right at a crossroad, literally a crossroads. And where the camera's standing, we go up a hill, and we'd be heading up the highest elevation in Groveland, which is called Crow Hill. And if we go that way on this part of the trail, we're actually heading, as I mentioned before, towards 113. Now, there's a whole network of trails in this area that extend from West Newbury all the way into almost Amesbury, if you will. And in a few years, we're going to have an opportunity to be able to take a walk from Wood Street in Groveland, which is part of the Groveland Town Forest, and walk all the way to Newburyport and back, because there's going to be a network of trails that are going to be connected with the Crane Reservation and also the extensive networking of trails that are being developed or have already been developed in West Newbury. Now, there's a little bit of controversy going on. We're inside these beautiful deep woods with giant 600-foot white pines, and yet we hear heavy equipment. And what's going on just a few hundred yards up ahead, and we're going to go take a peek in a minute, is that there's a large service road that's being cut right through the middle of Groveland Town Forest. And there's an important reason for that. There's a large water tower that needs to be situated at the highest point in Groveland, which, as I mentioned before, is Crow Hill. And so, you know, some folks are a little concerned about that, but there's a little bit of a story to be told about that. And we're going to have Sarah Marr and also Rachel Dark tell that part of the story in a minute. Let's go, guys.
A bit of history of Groveland's town forest. The forest was set aside for lumber production in the 19th century and then later became conservation land.
Until the 1990s, the forest saw little use and the huge, tall, dense white pines grew unscathed. The forest hosted a network of informal trails in Groveland extending into Break Hill, West Newbury. In the late 1990s, Groveland Scout Troop 87 marked and improved a trail from Wood Street proceeding around the top of Crow Hill, which at an elevation of 252 feet is the highest point in Groveland. These trails were first shown on maps from the old friends of our Trails group, chaired by Newburyport's Tom Horth. When Nichols Village replaced the old Valley Farm, additional trails were cleared and easements obtained.
The Valley Farm was actually part of the original tract of land developed by the earliest settlers in the area dating back to the late 1600s. Two families, the Maddocks and the Tarletons, owned some of these tracts that were part of this farm. The Nichols family acquired the farm many years later, and through the Nichols Trust developed the land into the present-day Nichols Village senior community.
In the early 2000s, Groveland voted down a move to develop water facilities on Crow Hill and housing developments. People developed an interest in the forest in Bagnell School. Students led by teacher Hillary Seeger added trail posts and marked most of the current trails. Miss Seeger and her students also played instrumental roles in developing a trail system on the other side of town in a beautiful area known as Meadow Pond. You'll find this on Uptack Road. Take the time to enjoy this wonderful network of well-marked trails.
West Newbury Open Space Committee marked most of the remaining trails and opened new ones to Main Street at the Groveland line on Route 113 across the street from Pawtucket's tennis courts and Georgetown Pike, West Newbury. Maps were published and appear on the West Newbury Open Space website.
In the latest chapter for the forest, a water storage tank and service road are being built. You can access the service road and find remnants of the original trails off Wood Street. Some of the original town forest trails have been cleared away to make room for the service road.
There was a lobbying effort to have the tank located on the Webster property adjacent to the town forest on Wood Street, which did not materialize.
Nonetheless, most of the forest and contiguous Brake Hill area will remain natural and be part of the comprehensive trail system linking Nichols Village and Wood Street with trails in the West Newbury and beyond.
This system, called the Emerald Necklace, ties our town forest and future trails being planned into a network with the names such as Riverbend, Mill Pond, Brake Hill, and Crane Neck Wildlife Area.
Perhaps after the water tower is situated on Crow Hill and the service road completed, Miss Seeger and her students from Bagnell and Troop 87 might re-establish the trails and add new ones too.
This is a beautiful part of our town that can be enjoyed by many for generations, and the best part is that in a few years it might be possible to hike from Wood Street all the way to Newburyport, traversing old forests, farms, marshes, and meadows.
Now I'm on the White Loop Trail. We're in the town forest of Groveland. You'll see that these trails are very well marked. They've got little triangles on the trees. Several trees will also have some maps, so it's very hard to get lost in these woods. And you do have cell phone service, because we're not too far from civilization. It's just a great opportunity for families, older folks, young people, just to come out in the woods. You don't have to travel miles and hours to go into the mountains. Right here in our own backyard, we have beautiful woods, forest, meadows, marshlands that can be enjoyed by everyone. We're getting very close to the service road. You can hear the equipment. Now, if you go down this service road, that'll take you over to Wood Street, which there's a trailhead there of the original Groveland Town Forest trailhead. So here you have it. I got some graduates with me from class of 2012. Katie, my son Joe, Matt, and Liam. They decided to take a little bit of a trek and get to know this area a little bit. Now, if you take a look right across the service road, you'll see a yellow ribbon on that tree. When you go to that yellow ribbon, you'll find one of the original trails of the old town forest. My understanding is that when this water tank comes through this service road, and it's situated up at Crow Hill, the service road is probably going to be smaller. Everything's going to be brought back in, and everything will be restored to its natural site as much as possible. So the rebuilding of these trails is something that's going to happen because right now a lot of the original trails have been lost because of this service road. So as we're enjoying this hike today, I want to call your attention also to another part of Groveland on the other side called the Meadow Pond Reservation. It's got a great history. It's part of a 500-acre tract of land that goes into Georgetown and beyond. And in that system there, of course, there's no water tank. You have a very well-developed system of trails. It's actually quite beautiful in there. All the hiking I'm mentioning, including here, is very easy, not very rigorous. Meadowlands, the Meadow Pond area actually is a little bit flatter, and it's quite enjoyable, about 58 acres, very well marked, strongly recommended. Best way to get to it is you just park your car on Uptack Road. On the left there, if you're heading towards Georgetown, you'll see a sign, and go to it, bring your camera, bring your kids, bring your grandparents, and enjoy it. Now we're taking a little rest. Today is June 22nd. It's a Friday afternoon and it's pretty hot out, but these woods are pretty heavily wooded and a lot of shade. And but you know, we still have to look at safety issues and make sure we're all hydrated and having the ability to stay on a long hike. Now we're going to continue beyond the shooting we're doing here today, and we're going to be heading down towards Brake Hill, towards West Newbury. If you want to pick up this trail system from West Newbury, what you want to do is park your car at the tennis courts and then walk directly across the street to Brake Hill Terrace. And then just off to the side, about 10 feet, you'll see a little trailhead. You'll see a natural trail that develops there. And all you need to do is take that trail. If you get on the White Loop Trail, you'll end up in this spot heading towards Groveland Town Forest. Or if you want, you'll be able to loop around a beaver pond and some other loop trails that are up in the West Newbury area. West Newbury has its own water tower as well. So in a way, that sets a bit of a precedent for Groveland as to how to cut through a forest, put up a water tower, and then fill it all back in so we get back to its natural state. So I wouldn't be too alarmed. I'm sure that our town leaders know what they're doing. There's a necessity for that water tank. Some people are concerned about what's going on here, but as we can see, we're enjoying ourselves in the forest and taking a hike and really getting involved in the natural surroundings that are right here in our backyard, and a lot of people don't know about it. So we're really glad we're able to bring this to you. Let's go, guys. Let's finish it up. Good morning. Welcome again to Groveland Chronicles. I'm standing here with, we're very excited to have Nathan Hove. He came all the way over from Lansing, Michigan to take a picture of our old bridge, which is probably going to be coming down at some point. And Nathan is a nationally known expert on historic bridges. And his organization, historicbridges.org, is an organization that's devoted to the education of the public about old bridges, and they do have also a bit of a mission to see if they can get some of these bridges, or at least parts of them, reused somewhere else. So Nathan, welcome, and thank you very much for being here. This is very exciting for us. It's our first show, and we've got a celebrity, if you will, certainly regarding bridges. So tell us a little bit about the history of the bridge, and I know you have an engineering background as well, so tell us a little bit about what you know about this old bridge.
Well, the bridge replaced a bridge that was built in the 1880s, and it was a steel bridge that was there before. And in 1913, something happened to a couple of the spans. They were destroyed, and they built two what we would call through truss spans. And a truss bridge is where we have a bridge that's got a network of triangles, beams that are arranged in a series of triangles. And that forms what we call a truss, and that's what actually holds the bridge together and allows it to support weight. They replaced two of those spans that were destroyed with two new through truss spans using the latest technology of the period. And that served well until 1950, when they needed to replace the movable span in the center, which is originally a swing bridge, which would swing and turn open on a pier. And what they did is they replaced it with what we call a bascule span. And a bascule span is one where it actually rotates up. So it actually rotates up as what's called a leaf. And as this leaf rotates up, it opens the channel for boats. And the specific type that was used here is what was called a fixed trunnion. And the trunnion refers to a giant axle. And the bridge can actually rotate around this axle as it rotates up, and that's how the motion is with the leaf. And the leaf is powered by a series of rack and pinion systems powered by motors, which actually would lift the bridge up. And at that same time, they also replaced, there were three additional spans from the 1880s that were what we'd call fixed. They didn't move, through truss spans. Replaced those also with new through truss spans, very similar to the ones that were built in 1913. And concluding that project, we get the span that we see today. It's remained pretty much unchanged from that original design that it ended up being after the modifications in 1950.
That's great. That's really amazing. Actually, some of the local folks call this the 1950 bridge, but I did a little bit of reading about the bridge span, and I believe this would be the third bridge that's been in this spot, correct? I believe the first one was a wooden bridge?
Yep, that's my understanding too. There was originally a wooden bridge, and then there was a metal truss bridge built in the 1880s, which was a fairly interesting design too. There are some, you could do some research and find out more about that bridge. Its history is fairly well documented.
Sure. Now, what do you hope to do? You're doing some photos today before you get on a plane in about an hour and a half or so?
Yeah, we'd like to get a photo documentation of the bridge. at historicbridges.org, we like to take a photographic record of the bridge. We show the bridge as a whole and also photograph the different parts of the bridge. Try to create a record of it, so 20 years down the road, if someone wonders what used to be here, they'll be able to find out more about that. So
That's great. That's really, really great. Well, folks, this is, again, has been a wonderful opportunity for us. I encourage you to take a look at Nathan's website. It's historicbridges.org, and I'm sure maybe some of the bridge photos that you'll take today will be there as well.
Certainly.
And in a few minutes, when we come back, we're going to be talking to the folks on the other side of where we are right now, and take a peek at what's going on with that big project called the Brand New Bridge. So we're very excited about that as well, and hope to find out more about it. Thank you for checking in.
Hi everybody, I'm Steve Bartholomew. I'm here with David Conroy and Vince D'Angelo. They're in charge of construction on the Groveland Bridge. So if you guys could just tell us a little bit about what's going on here and what you guys are doing.
Sure. As resident engineer, I am responsible for the day-to-day activities by the contractor while building the bridge. So we're out here basically ensuring that the contractor conforms to plans, specs, and any issues that we run into while building the bridge. Dave is my immediate supervisor, so he oversees me, but he's not here all the time as I am.
And have you guys hit any issues yet, or has stuff been kind of sailing pretty smooth?
Well, as with all projects, there's always the unknown, and typically we have a few bumps. This one hasn't been too bad, relatively speaking. I think we're doing well. We had a couple of little unknowns, but all in all, I would say we're doing very well.
Nice. And Dave, how's the weather affected the construction here at the bridge site?
Well, as you know, this past winter was pretty mild, and we were able to work full force right through the winter months. The winter prior to this one, though, we had some substantial weather conditions as far as freezing up of the river, which we don't deal with on most projects, but this literally, we had a crew out here that would literally have to come out at the beginning of the week and basically chop ice just to get any kind of productivity out here.
Wow.
But the contractor got through it, and the mild winter, like I said, this past winter helped us get back on track for any time that we may have lost due to the harsh winter we had last year.
Recently we saw this big piece of metal, like just giant, almost like a bunch of beams put together. What was that came up recently?
Well, those actually were our main girders that support the bridge. If you look behind me here, you can see them in the background. They are being supported by concrete piers, of which we have pretty much completed 3 out of the 4 total piers we have. So this summer, we plan on placing the beams from this south abutment, as we did from the north abutment, towards Pier 3. which is our main pier, which supports the bascule part of the bridge, which is similar to the old bridge that would open with a cantilevered counterweight. So you'll see more girders this summer being erected from the south abutment towards Pier 3. You'll see Pier 3 coming out of the water and concrete being poured. And then you'll see we'll start our deck placement for the actual roadway of the bridge.
Awesome. So it's all really starting to come together. This is like the first big step, because I know a lot of people, when it first came up, people were just really talking about the bridge, and that's kind of like the first big step towards completion, would you say?
Well, it's one of the big steps. I would have to say that those piers that support the bridge were quite an undertaking. They require the cofferdams, in which we drive sheet piles into the water and then dig down and dewater and pour the foundation, which is supported on piles. So that was quite an undertaking over the last year and a half. Now you're seeing that, and that's the substructure of the bridge, kind of holds everything up.
Yeah.
And now this is what we call the superstructure, the actual girders and the deck.
Cool, very cool. Dave, what are some of the unique conditions you faced while constructing the new Groveland Bridge?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of the unique conditions we had here was the freezing of the river, which limited some productivity from the contractor. It's tough to work through, several inches of ice. We actually had to bring some crews out here and chip away at the ice just to get in the areas they were working at the time. Most probably last winter when we had the very harsh winter. Another unique condition out here, in this area we have migration and spawning of some certain species of fish. So the contractor was limited as far as working within the river at certain times of the year to allow the migration and the spawning of that certain fish.
Very interesting. So the other question I had was, there are going to be two bridges here. It looks like there could be two bridges. There's been a little confusion as far as is there that bridge, the existing bridge, going to remain? Is it going to be demolished? So what is your company's role with that bridge, and what's its future, the existing bridge?
MassDOT awarded this contract to Shinbro Corporation out of Maine. They're the general contractor on this project, and part of that contract includes the construction of this brand new bridge here, but also is going to include the demolition and removal of the existing bridge. So when all is said and done, we'll have one beautiful bridge here, and the other one will, like I said, be demolished and removed, and you'll never see it again.
Very good. Well, finally, for both of you guys, what it's been like, you're both engineers. Mm-hmm. This is just going to be a real interesting job. What for you both was the most interesting, or did you find the most exciting or engaging piece of this whole process thus far?
Well, for me, it's a bascule bridge, as I had mentioned earlier, and we have one whole span in the middle of the bridge that opens up for boat traffic, and so that's pretty unique and very rare, and it has its own challenges and a lot of intricacies, both electrical and mechanical, which we're just starting to get into. So for me, that's what's been most interesting about this bridge over other bridges that I've done.
As far as this bridge here, one of the unique conditions here is MassDOT has performed bridge projects upstream and downstream. Upstream at the Upper County Bridge and downstream at the Rocks Village Bridge. Both of those bridges had to be closed to construct a new bridge or rehabilitate the bridge. This project here, we were allowed to construct the bridge without providing a major inconvenience to the motoring public. As you can see, traffic still flows basically through the work site, whereas we weren't able to do that on the two bridges that are closest to this one. So that was a major plus for us here, as far as we weren't cutting people off from one side of the river to the other.
Very good. Well, thank you both very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Can't wait to see the finished product. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
On September 9th, 1850, Groveland was officially incorporated as a Massachusetts town. Every year, our residents celebrate this important historic event with a fun-filled day of activities called Groveland Days. This year, that special day is September 8th. The location for most of the activities is the Pines, which has a rich history of family-oriented activities since the town has been incepted. The Pines is situated off of Route 113 next to the town hall and offers recreational activities, a public boat ramp, and children's playground, as well as playing fields. In the early part of last century, and leading all the way into the mid-21st century, the Pines was regionally known as a destination for amusement rides, picnics, community events, and even a speedway course. Groveland Days will begin at 10 a.m. at the Pines until 10 p.m. There's always something for everyone. There will be children's activities, pony rides, our own curious creatures, many local vendors, artists, craftsmen, and music by live bands. There will be food and light beverages served throughout the day, and facilities will be available at the park and town hall as well. The day will conclude with a food station featuring pulled pork, hamburgers, and hot dogs, and also a beer tent, of which both will be operated by the Groveland Fire Department. A special addition this year is a 5K road race that will begin at 8:30 a.m. at the Congregational Church at 4 King Street. This year, proceeds from the race will be donated to establishing a memorial scholarship to honor the memory of Zach Zalewski. The race is also for everyone. There'll be a 1-mile children's walk. For all others, the 3.1-mile course, which begins at King Street and ends at the church, is an easy and safe route for all serious runners, but also many joggers and walkers who have already registered to help support the fundraising goals of the race. To see all the activities, a growing list of sponsors, and to register for sponsorship opportunities and the race, go to the race organizer's website, Groveland Youth Soccer, grovelandsoccer.org at the top of your homepage, and you'll find a Groveland Days tab. Groveland Days is organized by the Groveland Recreation Committee, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you'd like to make a donation to help support all activities and the road race, a tax ID number will be provided to you as donations are tax deductible. For more information, please contact Steve Merrill at stevemerrilljr@gmail.com, Elise Hunt at elisehunt@comcast.net, or contact Joe Demore directly at 978-521-4074.
So here I am with a group of outstanding ladies. We are training, if you will, for a road race. We're 11 weeks away from the Groveland Road Race, which is September 8th, and Lisa Sola put together informally a group of ladies, and hopefully guys, because I'm going to be the first one to do the training. Now the training, I want to use the word very loosely. The training is for walkers, it's for joggers, and for runners. So Lisa, tell me a little bit about what you hope to accomplish.
Well, we're
on Saturday mornings.
Saturday morning, 7 a.m. We're meeting here at the church, rain or shine. Last Saturday the weather was a little nicer than today, but we're just hoping to create some excitement and create some motivation to get people out for the Groveland Day 5K. We have it's 11 weeks from today, so we've started last week doing the Couch to 5K training program, which is very doable. But we also have walkers, so we want to make it, for all levels. So we hope everyone comes out Saturday,
Great.
7 a.m.
Now what exactly is 5K?
5K is 3.1 miles.
3.1 miles. So
That's
typically,
5 kilometers.
So what would it take a dedicated walker?
A dedicated walker?
Someone that can walk at a decent pace. How long do you think it would take?
I think a 15-minute mile is pretty.
15-minute mile.
15-minute mile, okay.
It's
And
a
then,
pretty
all right.
decent time.
All right, just to get a sense, because I know we're all training here. And what about a jogger? How long would that take?
Oh, jogger. I think a 10-minute mile is a nice jog pace.
I think it says at the end of the training, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
About
30
30
minutes is
okay.
kind of your...
All right.
This course will be a little bit challenging. We're going up King Street.
Yeah, we do have our own break hill, hill here, right?
Yeah, Heartbreak Hill.
Heartbreak Hill, right? It's right there. It's like, okay, I have difficulty with my car going up there.
We're working our way up that. The first month or 2 weeks or so, we're going to be working on the Rollins Street portion of the course. So
Okay, very good.
it's very doable. So we don't want anyone to be discouraged or think that, they can't do it. We're going to work up to that.
Well, this is really, really special to Lisa because she's a very dedicated and serious runner as well. So tell us a little bit about your running experience.
Really? Oh,
Tell me a little bit about your running experience. You preparing for other races? Have you been in races before?
I'm gonna run a half marathon this fall, but I started running 3 years ago. I've always done something, I guess, on and off, but I started doing the Couch to 5K program, so that's why I'm kind of passionate about helping others get to there. But I've run a marathon, 2 halves, and 2 5Ks here and there. So.
That's great. That's great.
It's doable. Anyone can do it. So that's my main motivation for Saturday, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. This is great. We've got to get going. We're on a schedule here. Anyways,
7:05.
here we are, 11 weeks. Can we pan? Look at this large group here that's assembled.
Go Groveland!
And as you know, this is the town that we want to live in, and we want to raise our families. So typical. The Groveland Day is a special day, and as you know, our road race is the first one. And Steve Merrill and the organizers also wanted to dedicate the road race to Zach Zalewski. So it's just, this is what it's all about. We're all coming out for a great cause as well. So thank you, everybody, and we're off to our run.
See you September 8th.